All right, so good news. Now we're going to talk about PLM. Okay, so first let me introduce myself. My name is Buzz Kross. I'm responsible for an organization called DLS, Design, Lifecycle, and Simulation. What that means is I run R&D for mechanical design, for simulation, independent of mechanical, simulation for everything, and for lifecycle management across all the industries we serve. So I'm not going to talk about all those things here. Today I was asked to come in and talk about PLM, our newest industry and our newest product in the market. Okay, so the great news, I'm going to do a demo for you here. You're going to actually be able to see this stuff live. So everyone ready for that? Everyone excited? See, everybody laughs, don't they? You know, so PLM is kind of like that. This is the legacy of PLM. When you threaten people with a PLM demo, you get the nervous twitters of, oh God, not again, please. You know, because the reality of PLM, it does not have a great history. Okay, the idea of PLM was originally to manage engineering data, and the progress that had been made so far in the industry was to make it a little bit easier, a little bit more customizable. But that was the legacy from the very beginning. Now, we decided to enter the market of PLM late. You know, the market, I wouldn't describe it as mature. I still think it is a fundamentally young market, but it's about 10 years old. Okay, so there are players out there in the market. There's a lot of money being spent on PLM. If we were going to enter the market and be successful, we needed a different approach. So we decided on two fundamentals early. And by the way, I decided to enter the PLM market about 28 months ago or so. It took some time. It was my customers' urging that got me there. Okay, you know, what they had described to me through the years, their PLM systems didn't work. They hated them. They were expensive. Eventually, it got to a point where, you know, they work now. And then they got to, well, I really need them. They're mission critical for me. They always said, I still hate them, but they work. So I have to have something that works for me. Would love to have you do something that's different. So we decided on two fundamental shifts that made a big difference in the market. First, PDM and PLM are two different ideas for two different sorts of users. So managing engineering data is something that's appropriate for one technology. Sharing that data with the rest of the enterprise is appropriate for other technology. For us, PLM is the second bit, not for managing engineering data. The second thing is we wanted a system you could trial, okay, something you could test. Now think about that, okay? A PLM system you can trial is sort of like doing a trial of SAP, right? People just don't do it. Right, so we've built a system that really enables those things. So let me just tell you a little bit about how we went about it. So first, there are three ideas. First, bring all the aspects of the life cycle together. So it should be much more than about the mechanical engineers or the designers. Okay, we really, you know, our view was there's really huge assets in the design data and the product data, but there's a lot more information required. By the way, it's not sharing of information. It's not just sending the design data downstream. Product information is not complete when it leaves the engineering department. There's a lot more definition that occurs as it gets to the supply chain manager, the quality managers, everyone else who might want to use it downstream. So we wanted to work and benefit those people directly with applications that helped them. It's how you become a great product company. Second thing we wanted to focus on was to support your current business models and processes rather than trying to force you to re-engineer. Now, most of what happens in the market today is the first thing you do is figure out how to re-engineer your business to fit the new tool that you've got, whether it's Windchill or Teamcenter or whatever. Okay, so we took the different approach. Customers have their process for a reason. We try to let them use it. We try to let them customize the application to fit. Okay, now we had this dream that no one would customize these things. It's not what I've found so far, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the third thing, it should be easy to implement, support, and maintain. So easy, in fact, that multiple size companies could use it. Companies of the smallest size could use our PLM system, get immediate return, and get immediate benefit. I think now that we've been in the market for a few weeks, we have found that that's been true, is that we've had many customers implement. The most notable thing I see about my customers, what most tell me is they're not sure what problem they want to solve. They're just so intrigued by the technology, they want to try to use it to solve some problem. So it's very interesting early days application where they see it, they love the cloud nature of it, and they want to use it to solve some business problem that their current PLM system is not solving. The other thing is virtually everyone who's using our PLM system today has an old style enterprise system that's behind their firewall. They're not looking to replace it, they're looking for PLM 360 to solve problems they can't solve today. So it's a pretty unique position. So PLM 360, it's what we think of as instant PLM, okay? And it's just for a couple of reasons. First, it's cloud-based, zero deployment. You know, the reality, most of your expense in the PLM system is first about customization, second is about building your platform and your hardware. All those things just go away with our implementation of the system. Second, it's accessible to anywhere from any device. You know, the reality is your enterprise is spread throughout the world, even engineering is spread throughout the world. Often you're outside the company's firewall, you need information instantly. This puts it to wherever the user is. So our PLM system follows the user. Whatever type of user you are, you have access to that information. That's been a big gain for the customers. And you really are up and running in minutes, not days, not months. Okay, so I've not yet seen a customer that takes more than 3 days to get online with an application. Okay, virtually everyone is customized in some way. They haven't used things out of the box except a few of our apps. They've always found it easy enough to customize that they can still get it done very, very quickly. Most customers have self-implemented. We've helped in some cases. Okay. Okay, so the other thing is that we definitely felt it had to be full-featured. We did not want a mini version. You know, the old days of 80-20, where we provide 80% of the functionality for 20% of the cost, just doesn't make sense in today's world. If you can't have full access and full process capability, you really can't compete in the market. So we were able to produce a cloud-based application that's got all the capabilities anyone would need and is extensible if you want to do things in a special sort of way. So what makes our system different is just a few things. First, this instant on thing I talked about. It really is that quick. It's the ability to get a URL. You are online and you can start using it right out of the box. You can start customizing it right out of the box. This is what customers do. It's got this highly current user experience. So whatever you do immediately affects all of your users. In fact, we had an interesting situation. We found a bug the other day, okay? Software companies don't like talk about this, but let's face it, we have bugs. Others do as well, okay? This was interesting. This was a user who was using a Swedish plugin to his browser. Okay, now, we don't know what the plugin did because it was in Swedish, so we couldn't tell. We were able to find it, okay? We also figured out that 2 other users had it, so 3 users experienced this problem. So we found it on Tuesday, we were able to fix it on Wednesday, and later that Wednesday, everyone in the world had that fix. Okay, now that's the magic of the cloud world. We were able to deduce it, we knew how many people affected, and immediately everybody got the update. It's also true of customizations that an enterprise will put in place. So this idea of highly concurrent is a huge benefit for customers rather than the months and months rollout that typically have. The ubiquitous access is huge, doesn't matter what kind of device you've got. People are accessing our PLM system from their iPhones, from their iPads, from their Androids. It's very easy to get at the data and it's designed to work in that environment. We have many pre-installed apps. They're uniquely delivered in source code so that you can modify those if you desire to do so. We haven't had customers writing code yet. They've just used configuration abilities to make it. Speaking of modifying, it really is insanely configurable. You know, we found customers can get it to do things we haven't thought about. Very quick, very easy. Even my own management team uses it. My legal team's using it to track their contracts, so it's being used for a wide variety of things because it's that easy to roll out and modify. It's integrated, works with Autodesk apps, particularly with Autodesk Vault, so you can extract data and to fill out your bill of material list. And of course, it's subscription-based. You don't have a big upfront fund that you have to pay for it. So you just pay your annual fee, and I'll cover exactly what the costs are in a little bit. It's actually a pretty impressive difference. The ubiquitous access is one of the big things. The fact that you can be sitting in the airport and get at your product data is exactly what Carl talked about. it really does get you out of the world of, when I get to the office, I'll send you an email. So the stuff is here today. PLM 360 is one of the best implementations of that, in that it really is that highly concurrent, any device access to the exact right data, because you don't have to replicate it and send it around the world. Okay, I mentioned pre-installed apps. There's actually 140, at least there was when we shipped. There's actually a little bit when we first posted. We don't ever ship. So this is just some of them. There's a large variety. Most of them have been focused on the mechanical industry, because that's the developed PLM market, but there's also a growing number of AEC applications. In fact, we have customers both in the civil engineering and the building industry who are starting to use PLM 360 and are customizing around their work processes. Very easy to do. Now, in terms of configurations, this is the way most people configure it. They just use our workflow environment to define some workflow that matches what they do. So they haven't changed our applications that we put. Like, no one's changed our quality app yet. But they have changed their process, their approval cycles, and those sorts of things. This has proven to be very easy and changes the view of the customer in terms of what they can accomplish. As I said, it's very well integrated. You can extract data from our PDM system. Now, as I said before, we separate PDM. My view, PDM is product data management. It's for the engineers in the pre-release up to the point of release, so it lets you manage your engineering data. That, I believe, belongs behind the firewall, at least for now. I don't think there's the bandwidth to do things yet in an aggressive enough way outside the firewall. I think that's going to change as well. It's one of the things we're working on real hard. We connect these two things together so you don't lose in the functionality, but we don't try to force the user into a PDM environment when they're a downstream user. They use something that's customized for them. Now, PLM 360 is also priced and packaged in a unique way. Now, here's just some idea of the cost comparisons. The old iron traditional PLM systems where you have to buy a bunch of upfront. By the way, this is typical pricing for about 200 users. You have to buy an upfront user licenses, about $1.5 million. You have to buy hardware, about $1 million in hardware. You typically spend at least that in implementation services, so we estimated $2 million. So your upfront cost is $4.5 million. There's a maintenance fee that'll be about that percentage for about another $500,000. So you got a little under $5 million for a system like this. PLM 360, you don't have any upfront license fees. You don't have any hardware. You might have implementation services. If you do, it's pretty minimal. You got some annual maintenance fee of about $180,000. So you're well below whatever it is. So 1/20th of the total fee of the typical system. So the cost advantage is enormous. Okay, and the additional fact that you don't have to take all the time to do the setup. This is just cost of buying it. It doesn't include the months and years it takes to actually roll it out. So the cost benefit the users get is actually really phenomenal. So one thing I hope you see, that certainly in terms of what our customers are trying to do, where they're trying to go from concept all the way to production of part, this is a way we can take all this great product information, spread it out to the entire enterprise, and we can do it in a way that matches the 21st century. So that's why I do view our 360 PLM product really as the next generation. I view this as the exact same sort of shift we saw going from DOS to Windows. I think it's hard to conceptualize products occurring the way our competitors' products exist today. And it really was these two things. Separating PDM and PLM was a big thing, and making the decision, let's do a pure cloud-based application. Let's write it from scratch to make it work. So again, our customers have seen very great success with it. It's changing the way they use their engineering data. It changes the way they define their product data. Thanks very much. I think you'll see this have some big effect in the world. Now let me introduce my colleague, Chris Bradshaw, to wrap up the sessions.